Welcome to Tamara Tattletales. I'm Tamara, and I spill the tea on your favorite reality stars. Married at First Sight Season 13 Houston. Myrla finally sat down with somebody and had a conversation about what happened during the season. She spoke with Real TV with B one-on-one and talked to her about what happened during her marriage with Gil and why she decided to end it. Let's get into it. Why don't we start with why you decided to apply for Married at First Sight? I decided to apply for Married at First Sight because I wanted to find the person I could spend my life with, grow with, and eventually have kids with. Dating has always been a struggle and not something I've prioritized investing time in. So I opted for Married at First Sight when my two best friends suggested it. What type of man are you looking for? I asked the experts for a God-fearing, financially stable, driven, kind, tall, dark, and handsome man. Bald and beardless was something I said I didn't want as well, but not a deal breaker.
Oh my God, he's bald. My husband is bald, but I'm open to it.
Were deal breakers listed in the areas you were unwilling to compromise? I was not willing to compromise on God-fearing or financial stability, meaning someone who knew how to manage their finances and was in a financially similar place as me. Healthy savings, investments, retirement, spends within their means.
For me, really, the only con has been finances. I mean, we had to share our finances with each other. Like, he was fine with it. He, share, this is my checking account, this is whatever. And I was like, you don't have a savings?
Your personal comfort level is to take things slow physically. With patience from Gil, you warmed up to him and were very openly affectionate. Gil had a great heart and good intentions as a husband. I saw that early on. Many conversations and interactions did not make the show, but we had a lot of fun together. Could you bring some clarity to telling Dr. Pepper that Gil made you happy every single day and was above and beyond what you prayed for, with the contrasting revelation that you were unhappy and never felt chemistry with him? Those statements held true in that conversation with Dr. Pepper. The other part of the conversation you didn't get to hear was I was not initially attracted to him, but my attraction grew over the course of the experience. I continued to focus on the positive and knew that although I'm not initially attracted to my husband and we are different in many aspects, as you guys clearly saw, I was always open to see if we would change, and it did. Again, my attraction to him did grow over the course of the 8 weeks, and what you saw was me opening up because of that.
I'm definitely attracted to my husband, and I think he's a handsome man. I was a little distracted that my husband has a bald head, but not for long because I was looking at his smile and he had really kind eyes.
One of the things viewers grew to love about you was how real you are. Clear and respectful communication was something you said you valued and had with your husband. When Gil said he was blindsided, it was difficult to reconcile that action with your words. Share some insight on why you weren't open and honest with how you were feeling. I was open and honest, and fortunately, the viewers don't get to see the entirety of the conversations that we had off camera. The rest of the conversation that you didn't get to see with experts and Gil was ultimately my emotions showed me that our life aspirations and our values, coupled with the lack of financial stability, were not aligned. I was in a place where I felt disconnected and said I shared my concerns, but you shut me down and dismissed my feelings in a disrespectful manner. Were there signs that were missed? The way Gil portrayed it, it sounded like we had a marvelous 14 days and then bam, done, I ended the relationship. The actuality is, it was 14 days of trying to discuss huge issues in our marriage, but also the lack of discussion and ownership on Gil's part played a huge part in me finally deciding to end it. It's understandable if the attraction wasn't there, but given those circumstances, can you expound on the decision to then stay married and allow Gil to sell all of his possessions? As I mentioned, my attraction was not initially there, but it grew. On decision day, I did have the doubts and concerns we discussed throughout the 8-week process, but I still had hope that our relationship would flourish. I shared that with him and experts on decision day, as I had done multiple times over the course of the experiment. I said I made a choice to love you because I see the goodness in your heart. I'm not in love with you, and you know that, right? He agreed and had communicated he was okay with that to the experts and me. I definitely know he did not sell everything because he has a storage unit.
I sold everything that I owned. The only thing I kept was my blender, my clothes, and my dog.
Moving on. Another surprise was hearing on the reunion special that you were bothered when Gil called you a brat, a diva, or high maintenance. You shared in the moment that you received it well. I was trying for this not to be an issue, but it got to a point where it did bother me. Reflecting back, I could have done a better job of telling him not to call me those names more clearly. Explain your thought process on not communicating your feelings to Gil on the subject. I felt I communicated those things during our conversations by stating to him that I was not, and consistently asked him for examples in which we both disagreed. When something is not true, I usually am not bothered by it. However, I was bothered to learn that he was also saying these things to others while I was not present. He did not disclose this to me, and as you saw, I never called him names.
You know, she'll throw her little tantrum if she gets cranky because she didn't eat or she didn't sleep. And for me, I treat it like a toddler. You know, they're gonna tire themselves out eventually. So I just wait it out and then, or feed her, and then we good.
Did you understand that poking fun at someone was a way he showed he liked them? I can describe behaviors I don't like, but resorting to name calling is not something I expected going into this process. It was a new experience for me and an immature way for him to communicate. When asked, you told the experts that there were things that happened after decision day that didn't make you feel safe with Gil in making joint decisions about your financial future. Can you open up about that and the impact it had on your decision to divorce him? Yes, that had a huge impact on my decision. As you know, I'm huge on financial stability. That to me means that someone lives within their means, saves, and knows how to manage their finances. I ideally wanted someone who was in a similar financial position as I was. I became aware of some things post-decision day that I was not okay with. Gil and I had multiple conversations about this and how it made me feel. He did not see or acknowledge his actions, behavior in a way that was conducive to trust, respect in a marriage. There was some dishonesty I discovered as well. All of these things led to me making the decision to end the marriage. Honing in further, give us insight on what specifically happened in 14 days to take you from saying you wanted to stay married on decision day to the breaking point of wanting a divorce. Ultimately, I reached a place where the feelings I felt, coupled with the series of events and conversations, began to deteriorate. I could no longer see myself staying in this marriage and decided to do what was best for myself and my future. It sounds like you and Gil agreed to live together for a month, but it didn't go well. We were in a tough position on different pages and living together. What was the goal of that arrangement, and were you open to actively working on your relationship during that time, or was your mind already made up? I accepted that this marriage was not going to work, but I was not going to ditch someone after going through this experiment together. Gil will always be a part of my life because of what we went through, and there was still care and respect for one another. I thought we can get through this in an amicable way. However, continuing to live together was no longer the best option. During this time, were you communicating your thoughts to each other? We continued to have conversations throughout these days about our relationship and went to therapy together to get closure and figure out how we could both live together respectfully during that time. I'm glad he took my advice to continue therapy. At that point, I knew I was making the right decision to separate.
I'm still in therapy, which is awesome. I would recommend that crap to any and everybody.
Help us to understand your comfort level with what appeared as very flirtatious behavior and innuendo regarding your relationship with Johnny. To viewers, it felt very cold and uncaring to openly do that in the presence of Gil, who had just told Kevin Frazier he was still in love with you. Many of you don't know me and how I can open up, especially with those I love dearly. I am a very affectionate person with all my friends, male and female. Gil knows this about me and has been around Johnny and me. He knew we are dear friends, so he should not act surprised by this. Just like he knew we were all in Mexico together since he was originally going to come with us. Brett, Johnny, Zack, Rahcel, and I built a strong friendship soon after filming on the volleyball court, and this is how we all grew close. Gil attended some of those games as well in early May.
How do you feel about Johnny and Myrla getting so close? I'm gonna tell y'all something. So they're not a couple. I know y'all think that, but they're not a couple. I'm not defending either one of them. I'm indifferent about Johnny. He's cool peoples, but
I mean, I'm not about to hit him up and ask him, let's go get a drink or whatever. And I still have love for my ex-wife. I'm not in love with her, but I still have much love for her. But them getting close, they're just friends. They're just close. They were on the same volleyball team together. I was supposed to be on it too, but my work schedule kind of like screwed it up, so I kind of almost never went. And they just became close. So I have zero issues with them. I mean, I had zero issues with them being close when we were together. And now I don't give a damn. I mean, that's none of my business. So they can be as close as they want. So, but I can tell y'all, I can 100% tell y'all, they've never dated. They never did anything. Y'all gotta get off that. He's doing his own thing. She's doing her own thing. They're just really good friends.
What is your relationship with Johnny now? Johnny and I are best friends and will continue to be. Gil is one of the most beloved grooms in the 13 seasons of Married at First Sight. Were you prepared for the social media fallout since the airing of the reunion? And what has that experience been like for you? I was prepared and the experience has been fine. I know who I am and I know my truth. People's words are just that, words. My life experiences have taught me grit and perseverance. It's going to take a lot more than this to bring me down. I will continue to be blessed. You express you are thankful for the journey and growth this experience brought you. Looking back, how have you grown and what lessons have you learned to take forward? I've learned that attraction can grow, but that it can also leave pretty quickly. I've also learned what my deal breakers truly are and am solidified in what I want in a future partner. I thought I was tough before this experiment, but I can confidently say now that I am unbreakable. So while this interview did fill in some blanks, it definitely made it clear that she didn't enjoy his name calling and derogative humor. I know many of you wouldn't mind if your spouse called you names and poked fun at you like Gil did. However, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. But in the end, it's her bad for not saying anything. Even though I picked up on how her energy would shift in a bad way when he made fun of her, still, he's not a mind reader. She should have told him. When she said he had a storage space, now that made more sense to me. I found it hard to believe that he would risk selling everything he owned for a woman he only knew a few weeks. I wish we would have gotten full clarity as to what he did or said that made her fear that she couldn't trust him with making financial decisions. I'm very curious to know what you guys think after hearing this. Let me know in the comments.